of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment. That is also paired with, of course, elections happening across the country that are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that. This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party.
No, that's correct. It doesn't matter what party the former President Trump is a part of. This is something that we need answers to. This is unacceptable. 60 days to tell us what happened? That is completely unacceptable. Let's let AOC finish lighting her up.
There need to be answers. Again, this party, this committee, this is not a moment of theater. We have to make policy decisions, and we have to make them now. We do. And that may be and that may require legislation. That may require policy that we must pass in the immediate term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something that we can accept here. Director Cheatle, is there a standard perimeter that the Secret Service establishes around an event, or are those perimeters independently determined per event and scenario?
There is no standard. Every event and every venue is different and treated as such.
So each event has a different perimeter that is established depending on the logistics of that event. Now, you established earlier that the building upon which the shooter operated from was outside of that established perimeter, correct, for the Butler, Pennsylvania event?
It was outside of our secure perimeter, yes.
Now, that building was, I believe, 500. How far away was that building from the president?
It was approximately 200 yards.
200 yards. Now, the individual used an AR-15 in order to act out his assassination attempt. An AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question is, why does the Secret Service perimeter, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter than one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States?
That's a very good question. Very good question. The Marine Corps, we go on when we would go on the rifle range, the last yard line that we would shoot from is the 500-yard line. The 500-yard line with the M16A2 service rifle, AR-15. So that's ridiculous that a perimeter would only be 200 yards for the former president. That's ridiculous. That's insane. That's insane.
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an advance was completed. The determination of the perimeter, I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken into account when we determine our perimeter. Some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
And so what I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue that would prevent an AR-15, which is one of the most common weapons used in mass shootings, from being able to be within the range of Secret Service protection.
A perimeter was established, and even though there were buildings that were outside of that perimeter, it wasn't just that building. There were a number of buildings in the area, and there was overwatch that was created to help mitigate some of those buildings.
Respectfully, Dr. Cheatle, as well, as a person who has experienced an enormous amount of threat incidents, including incidents that have never been reported publicly, there is a common pattern that happens here, whether it's Secret Service, FBI, Capitol Police, local departments. After a critical security failure, we often hear there will be an independent investigation. That independent investigation gets set up. Usually the expectation is between 2 to 3 months after the incident, and then nothing really occurs from there. The report is usually not satisfactory to the questions that are usually being raised here. And most importantly, corrective action is rarely taken. If I were to state anything that I think is profoundly important, is that we need to have answers to the public. Ideally, I would encourage you and the agency to be more forthright with the members that still have yet to have their questioning, because the public deserves to have full confidence, and the stakes are too high. The violence that could break out in this political moment, regardless of party, in the event of someone getting hurt, constitutes a national security threat to the entire country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Could I go back to...
That was probably AOC, one of AOC's finest moments. Good job, young lady. Good job. Let's go over here to Representative Luna and see how Representative Luna light her up.
Those who are in charge of your con-op for the rally?
I'm not going to release names.
Can you give me the titles? And how many individuals?
No,
nothing.
We had a full advance team that was responsible for advancing.
How many people are the final approval authority?
There are a number of people
that are engaged
in approving.
Can you give me a number?
No, I do not have a firm number.
Can you just confirm whether or not, I understand this is an open investigation, but it...
How does she not have a firm number? It's been long enough. How does she not have a firm number and able to give this representative the answer to her question? This lady is doing nothing but ducking and dodging, stonewalling, and trying to lie to the American people.
In order to dispel conspiracy theories, have you guys been able to subpoena the shooter's Discord records, or has the FBI, to your knowledge?
I believe that the FBI is working on those.
Okay. Is it factual to say that you have not ruled out that the shooter was working with other people or persons?
Again, the FBI is conducting the criminal investigation into the shooter.
Can you, at least in an effort to dispel conspiracy theories, can you confirm or deny that?
At this time, we do not have that there were any other people engaged.
So you believe he's acting alone?
I do.
Okay. Have you been made aware of multiple eyewitness reporting that there was a second shooter on a water tower?
I do not have any information related to any second shooter.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because according to testimony from multiple witnesses, they did report that. And again, to my understanding, there were over 40 sniper teams that were briefed by the Butler ESU. And I want to make sure that people are aware, if you're saying that there's not another shooter, that we are able to clear that information, because from this whole entire briefing, it doesn't seem like much information has been able to get out to the American people. So I'm trying to dispel rumors, as I'm sure you understand. Was it true that Secret Service was present at the Butler ESU briefing?
There was a briefing between the counter sniper teams that were working on the ground.
Present?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Okay, I want to read you a report from people that seem to be throwing you under the bus and stated that they were in attendance and that Secret Service was not in attendance at the security briefing, according to individuals with knowledge, to also include that the AGR building where the shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was located was actually not a part of their security perimeter for that. So there was not Secret Service present.
Oh, she just possibly perjured
It seems
herself.
as though that when you were asked earlier from Rep. Chris
She just possibly perjured herself, I believe. I believe she possibly perjured herself.
Morthy about whether or not Secret Service was aware of a threat, you had said no, they were unaware of a threat. And yet, according to communications, again, from law enforcement that were in some of these group chats, they actually had reported that Secret Service was made aware of a threat at around 5:59 p.m. as a part of the command, including Secret Service, aware of messages and requests about information about the suspect's location. Can you please tell me if you have knowledge of that at all?
Again, I think we're conflating the difference between the term threat and suspicious.
But you guys did have knowledge at 5:59 p.m. according
She's
to those
playing
group chats, did
wordplay.
you not?
Of a suspicious individual.
Okay. Chairman, in
It's
my
wordplay.
opinion, according to some of the testimony today,
She's
I
doing
feel that you have
wordplay.
perjured
Double
yourself
speak.
in some instances. And so I'm going to ask for a full review of the transcripts by staff. And if you find that to be the case, I do ask that you bring perjury charges against the director. I will say this, it is very frustrating, and I've talked to my colleagues and we've said it to your face, that you have been up here basically stonewalling our ability to get the answers to the American people. And what I will also say is that every single member of Congress does not feel safe with you in charge. You have heard that, and I think that we are all sitting ducks with you in directing the Secret Service currently.
Wow.
But more importantly, it sends a message to our adversaries that we are not protected, and we are one of the strongest countries in the world, so you have essentially made us a less safe country because of it. As a result of that, I'm asking you to formally step down. I share my same opinions as my Democrat colleagues.
There you
And
go.
I also think
Bipartisan.
that your efforts to bring forward a full investigation and report in 60 days is unacceptable. And as a result of that, I'm going to do everything in my legislative toolkit to ensure that that happens sooner rather than later. And I'm sure that you know that we brought a vote on inherent contempt against Garland for essentially blocking a congressional investigation. And I don't think that you should be any different. So I will say that I am just completely disgusted by your performance today. And I understand that you're probably in a position where you're being told not to testify, which is why we had to subpoena you. I think that goes back to Garland. But again, that is part of the flushing that we need to get out of Washington, and I would be happy to assist in that process. Chairman, I yield the rest of my time. Director Cheatle.
She basically says they got to flush her down the toilet. See, this is what I like. You know, our politicians, regardless of party, working together, not letting your party decide how you approach things. Yeah, you understand they have to be loyal to their party and things like that. But when it comes to doing things for the American people, it shouldn't take one of our former presidents to have such a close assassination attempt. Mere inches. A slight turn of former President Trump's head. Things could have turned out horrible. Horrible. You know, and it's sad. I don't like the fact that it takes something like this for our representatives to work together, but it's good that they're working together on this. And hopefully they can continue this on everything that they're doing. Let's look at this young man, Donalds.
Real quick, at what
Representative from
time
Florida.
was Secret Service aware of the active threat against President Trump? Director, what time?
So the Secret Service was aware that there was an
He had to
individual who had been
remind her that
identified
that
as
the question was
suspicious,
for her.
and that individual was attempting to be tracked down.
At what time?
I don't have a specific timeline other than to tell
Director,
you.
it's been 9 days.
I
At
understand
what
that.
time?
I want to make sure that I give you factual information, sir.
Director, have you talked to the agents on the ground that day?
Yes, I have.
You've talked to all of them. Your senior team has talked to every agent that was on the ground that day.
Yes, we have.
Have they all corroborated the same time they identified the shooter or they were made aware of the shooter, either by attendees in the crowd or a local police department?
There are a number of reports of when those times were made.
Was it 5 minutes before the first shot rang out?
Give a direct answer.
No,
Generally speaking, was it 10 minutes before the first shot rang out?
no.
Was it 15 minutes before the first shot rang out?
It was less than that time frame when it was identified as a threat.
How many days before the
Basically
shooting
using the
took
term
place did
threat.
Secret Service actually do their advance work to secure the facility that the rally was going to be held at?
5 days.
In the 5 days prior, when the security advance team did their work, did they identify the rooftop as a potential threat?
Again, I'm pulling those reports and that information.
It's been 9 days,
Conduct those
Madam
interviews.
Director. Did they notice a rooftop?
What do you mean you're pulling the report? Like the representative said, it's been 9 days. It's not like she don't have assistants, secretaries, things like that. They can pull these files down. It's not like she's doing this damn work herself. Hey, give me this report. Give me that. Give me this. Give me that. It needs to be on my desk at this time. I don't care what time you go home. I don't care what you have planned for later. We're burning the midnight oil here. We got to get answers. Someone tried to assassinate a former president. We need answers now. Not I'm pulling the doggone file.
150 yards away, that was a potential threat, yes or no?
I am certain that the rooftop was noticed. I am pulling the reports.
What was the security parameters around securing that rooftop? What did they do?
There was overwatch provided for that rooftop.
Did Overwatch fail?
I am waiting to hear what the results of the investigation were so that I can identify where the failure was.
Who did you talk to that was on the ground that day that was responsible for Overwatch? What are their names?
I'm not going to provide their names in this setting.
Did you talk to the people that were providing Overwatch that day?
I've talked to the people that conducted the advance on that day and that were working the shift and were the counter snipers on that day.
So you talked to the counter sniper team. You talked to the people who were providing Overwatch that day, and you talked to the advance team, correct?
Yes, sir.
What did they tell you?
We are putting together a comprehensive report so that I can identify exactly where the gaps and the failures.
When the counter sniper team was on the roof, and they identified that there was suspicious activity on the roof in question, what was the chain of command's orders around the person on said roof? Because I'm quite sure somebody saw in under your organization, the Secret Service, I'm quite sure somebody saw the shooter on the roof. So what was the communication through the chain of command to deal with said person?
What I can tell you is that when the individual was identified by the counter sniper, they took one shot and neutralized that individual.
But that was after the shooter already took a shot. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
So what you're saying now is that the Secret Service did not see the shooter on the roof until after the shooter took a shot?
I do not have all of those details at this time.
If you don't have those details after 9 days, Director, then what you're telling me is that you guys didn't see it. Is that correct?
I am telling you I don't have all the details of the sequence at this time.
Director, it's been 9
Get a
days.
representative.
Either you have the information or you do not. Is that correct?
We are still in the process of conducting interviews and an investigation.
Some of my colleagues have texted me over the last couple days, bipartisan, about whether you should lose your job. And I've been quiet on that question because I wanted to see what you were going to do today. In my opinion, you do need to be fired immediately.
There you go.
And it is because this is gross incompetence.
Yep.
And the fact that it's been 9 days, and these are simple questions to answer. I'm quite sure if I asked any one of my kids if they got in trouble and I told them to give me the details, I would get more answers from them than I'm getting from you right now. And that's what's frustrating on a bipartisan basis, on a nonpartisan basis. This is a joke. And Director, you're in charge. And that's why you need to go. Mr. Chairman.
This is ridiculous. This is not good. It is no way that someone in her position can just sit there in front of our accountability committee and just stonewall, dance around questions, double speak. This is ridiculous. This is part of the problem with our government. See, she's sitting up there with a snide way, you know, like she's not responsible to even answer their questions. They're representing us. So basically, she's saying that she can care less about what the American people feel. This isn't about this is not about the fact that former president is a Republican or whatever. Regardless, he's still our former president. And we still need to protect him with the utmost security that we have. It doesn't matter how you feel about him politically. He's still someone that's still important to our country, as well as every former president. Doesn't matter their party. Now, I say the best for last. Representative Mace.
Are watching and they're wondering if there are any questions you can answer honestly today. So, Director Cheatle, I have a series of questions, very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible...
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been...
Yes or no? You didn't want to answer the question. We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way.
That's ridiculous.
You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political? Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Yes,
Well,
you do.
That's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection to ordered.
Okay. Is the secret...
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. How are you gonna send or it get leaked to newspapers and it doesn't go to the committee? These are the people that's been asking this woman for information for 9 days. But somehow, these various news organizations can get their hands on it, and she can't get it in the right hands to our representatives. That's bad.
Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee.
I like the quotes, air quotes.
Yes.
Okay, you say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or
I
no?
will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Chairman, I want to.
Come on.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how
have you provided
upset we
any
get.
and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memos?
You know what? This is a time where the hell with decorum. Because this woman, Cheatle, has absolutely no respect for the American people, these representatives, or anything. She's sitting there trying to protect herself. She shouldn't have to worry about protecting herself if she's being honest, forthright, and forthcoming. It's not a crime for things not to go right. But to sit there and conduct yourself like that?
Memorandums within the Secret Service.
I would have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. You're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging and talking around it in generalities. And we had to subpoena you to be here, and you won't even answer the questions. We've asked you repeatedly to answer our questions. This isn't hard. These are not hard questions. Have you provided us all communications from the Secret Service related to that day and that rally? Have you provided this committee? We've asked for this information on July 15th. Have you provided any of this information that this committee has asked of the Secret Service? Any of it?
I'll have to get back to you.
Have you even read this letter that we sent you? Did you even read this?
Yes.
Okay. And you have said you don't know, you have no idea. The answer is no. We haven't gotten a single document or piece of information or data from you or your agency in related to the rally that we have asked you for.
That's unsatisfactory.
So, was this attempted assassination of Donald Trump a failure of training or execution or both?
I think that those are answers that we need to
Training,
examine.
execution, or both? Which one?
I think those are answers.
All right. How many Secret Service personnel have lost their jobs due to this colossal failure?
At this time, none.
How many Secret Service personnel have been required to take a refresher course on how not to let people shoot Donald Trump?
Our personnel are currently operational. We are examining the facts of this investigation, and we will make the changes necessary.
What time did law enforcement become aware that there was an individual on the roof with a clear line of sight to President Trump?
I am still verifying timelines.
Of course, 9 days in, you have no answers. How many minutes went by between the time law enforcement saw and took photos of crooks and the shooting? How many minutes?
I am still verifying timelines.
57 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield.
57 minutes. Are you kidding me? And these are the people responsible for protecting the President of the United States. This is not good. This is a clear example of poor leadership. Complete poor leadership. That's what this is. And and we need to get better people. We need to get people that's going to do the work and be accountable. And have the people that have the courage to admit that they were wrong and that things just didn't go right. It's okay. It's okay that things don't necessarily go perfect, but it's not okay for failure like this. This guy was 200 yards away from the former president in that area for 57 minutes and nobody did nothing until after he did what he wanted to do. That's not good. This is not a good thing. So we're going to go ahead and end this one. Make sure you check out the website, ReggieRobertson.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Like, share, subscribe. If you like the content, make sure you take care of a brother and buy him a cup of coffee. Until the next video.